Two people borrow $100,000. One of them loses sleep, misses payments, watches interest pile up, and feels trapped every time the statement arrives. The other one borrows the same amount and becomes richer. Same number, same word, debt, but completely different outcome. And this is where most people get confused because they were taught to think debt is one thing. Dangerous, shameful, something to escape as fast as possible, but the rich do not see debt that way. To them, debt is not always a trap. Sometimes it is a tool. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is how they buy assets without touching their own cash. And the reason debt destroys one person while building another is not luck. It is what the debt is attached to. Imagine a young man sitting at his kitchen table at midnight. The apartment is quiet, the lights are low, his laptop is open, and on the screen is a credit card statement. $8,000 owed, minimum payment due, interest rate over 20%. He does not remember one single purchase that felt like $8,000. That is the disturbing part. It was not one big mistake. It was hundreds of small ones. Groceries when the paycheck was late, gas when the account was low, a birthday dinner he could not afford but did not want to miss, a phone repair, a medical bill, a few online orders that felt harmless at the time. Each swipe was small enough to justify, but now, combined together, they have become a wall. He looks at the minimum payment and realizes something cold. If he only pays the minimum, most of the money does not even attack the debt. It feeds the interest. The balance barely moves. The bank is not asking him to win. It is asking him to stay inside the machine. This is how poor debt feels. It does not feel like leverage. It feels like rent on your past decisions. Every month, you pay for things you already used, already ate, already wore, already forgot about. The object is gone, the memory is fading, but the debt is still alive. Now look at another room, same country, same banking system, same $100,000 borrowed, but this time, the person borrowing it is sitting with a banker in a quiet office. There is no panic on the table, no overdue notices, no collection calls. The money is being used as a down payment, a business expansion, or a property renovation. The debt is not attached to survival. It is attached to an asset, something that can grow, something that can produce income, something the bank can measure, value, and secure. This is the first difference. Poor people often borrow because money is missing. Rich people often borrow because they do not want to use their own money. That sounds simple, but it changes everything. When a broke person borrows, the debt usually enters to cover a gap. Rent is due, the car needs repair, the paycheck is late, the bill cannot wait. Debt becomes a bridge over a hole. But the hole is still there, and next month the person must carry the normal bills plus the new debt payment. That is how debt becomes heavy. It does not solve the weakness, it adds weight to it. But when a wealthy person borrows, the situation often looks different. They already have money, they already have assets, they already have options. So when they borrow, they are not always borrowing because they are trapped. They are borrowing because they are choosing where their cash should stay. A rich person may borrow against investments instead of selling them. They may finance a property instead of paying cash. They may use a business loan to expand while keeping emergency cash untouched. They may use low-interest debt to buy something that produces more than the debt costs. And that is the second difference. Poor debt usually takes money out of your pocket. Rich debt is designed to bring money back. Think about a credit card balance used to buy clothes, food, gas, and subscriptions. Every month, interest grows, but the things bought with the debt do not produce income. They do not pay you back. They do not increase in value. They just sit in memory while the balance stays on the statement. Now think about a property loan. The property may collect rent. The rent may help pay the loan. Over time, the property may rise in value. The debt is still real, but it is connected to something that can fight back. That is the hidden rule. Debt becomes dangerous when it is attached to consumption. Debt becomes powerful when it is attached to production. But most people are never taught that difference. They are only told debt is bad. So poor people learn to fear debt because they mostly experience the painful version of it. They experience debt as pressure, credit card debt, payday loans, car loans with high interest, medical bills, late fees, overdrafts, buy now, pay later plans, personal loans used to survive emergencies. The debt comes with stress because it is not building anything. It is only delaying pain. and delayed pain usually returns with interest. The rich experience another version. They experience debt as structure. A mortgage on a rental property, a business loan for expansion, a credit line backed by assets, a loan used to avoid selling investments, financing used to preserve cash flow. To them, debt is not automatically a sign of failure. It is a financial instrument, and the system rewards them for using it. This is where it starts to feel unfair. The person who needs money badly pays more to borrow it. The person who has money already often pays less. A broke person may get a high interest rate because the bank sees risk. A wealthy person may get a lower rate because the bank sees collateral. Same bank, same lending department, different treatment. Because the bank is not asking who needs help. It is asking who is safer to profit from. If you have no assets, the bank lends to your desperation. If you have assets, the bank lends against your strength, and strength gets better terms. This is why the poor are often told to avoid debt completely, while the rich are quietly taught how to use it. For someone living paycheck to paycheck, debt can be like fire in a dry room. One mistake spreads fast. A missed payment becomes a fee. A fee becomes a higher balance. A higher balance becomes more interest. More interest becomes another missed payment. The debt begins to grow legs. It follows the person to work. It follows them home. It sits with them at dinner. It wakes them up before the alarm. And the worst part is that most people do not borrow because they are careless. Many borrow because life keeps presenting bills that cannot wait. The tire blows out, the rent increases, the medical bill arrives, the child needs something, the paycheck comes late. A small emergency becomes a financial trap because there is no cushion. That is poor debt. It is not always about bad character. Sometimes it is about having no room to absorb life. Now compare that to a wealthy person taking debt. A wealthy person may have $500,000 in investments and still take a loan. To someone struggling, that sounds ridiculous. Why borrow when you have the money? But the wealthy person is thinking differently. If they sell their investments, they may trigger taxes. They may lose future growth. They may reduce their flexibility. So instead, they borrow at a lower rate, keep their investments growing, and use the loan to solve the short-term need. That is not desperation, that is positioning. The debt is not controlling them. They are controlling the debt, and this is the third difference. Poor debt removes options. Rich debt protects options. When a poor person takes the wrong loan, their future income is already spoken for. Next paycheck is not free. Part of it belongs to the credit card. Part belongs to the car lender. Part belongs to the personal loan. Part belongs to late fees. Before the money arrives, it already has owners. That is what makes the person feel trapped. They are working, but the work is not moving them forward. It is only feeding yesterday. Rich debt works differently when used correctly. It can keep cash available. It can protect investments. It can give time for an asset to grow. It can let a business expand without draining reserves. It can allow someone to control something large with a smaller amount of their own money. But there is a word people ignore. Correctly, debt is not magic. The rich can also destroy themselves with debt. Companies collapse from debt. Wealthy people lose properties from debt. Investors get wiped out from debt. Debt does not become safe just because a rich person uses it. It becomes useful only when there is a plan, a cushion, and an asset behind it. Without those three things, debt is still dangerous. This is why pretending to use debt like the rich without having the rich person's foundation can be deadly. A wealthy person borrows against assets. A broke person borrows against hope, and hope is not collateral. Hope does not reduce interest. Hope does not stop late fees. Hope does not make the bank patient. The bank wants payment. That is why one of the most dangerous financial mistakes is copying the behavior of rich people without copying the structure behind the behavior. You see the rich person with a financed car, but you do not see the business that pays for it. You see the investor using debt, but you do not see the assets behind the loan. You see the wealthy family with a mortgage, but you do not see the cash reserves, the tax planning, the low rate, and the income-producing property. From the outside, it all looks like borrowing, but underneath it is not the same game. One person borrows to look rich. Another borrows to stay liquid. One person borrows to consume. Another borrows to acquire. One person because they have no choice. Another borrows because they have many choices. That is the difference. Now imagine two credit cards. The first belongs to someone barely surviving. The card is used for groceries, gas, and bills. The balance grows because the income is not enough. Every month, the person promises to fix it, but something happens. Another bill, another emergency, another short week. Soon the card is not a convenience. It is a second landlord. It collects rent every month in the form of interest. The second card belongs to a wealthy business owner. He uses it for business expenses, advertising, software, travel. Inventory, he pays it off before interest hits. He earns rewards, he tracks spending. The same object, a credit card, has two different meanings. For one person, it is a trapdoor. For the other, it is a payment tool. The card did not change. The financial position changed. And banks know this. They know who is likely to carry a balance. They know who pays in full. They know who is using credit for survival. They know who is using credit for convenience. That is why the credit system can feel like it rewards the people who need it least. Because the safer you look, the cheaper and easier borrowing becomes. This is the fourth difference. Poor debt is expensive because the borrower looks risky. Rich debt is cheaper because the borrower has proof of income, proof of assets, proof of repayment, proof of stability, proof that the bank can recover something if things go wrong. The system does not price your pain. It prices your risk, and risk is expensive. This is why a person with a low credit score may pay more for the same car than someone with excellent credit. Same vehicle, same dealership, different financial life. The poorer buyer pays more not because the car is better, but because the loan is worse. That extra cost quietly keeps them behind. They pay more for capital. They pay more for mistakes. They pay more for instability. Meanwhile, the wealthy borrower may negotiate better terms, borrow against assets, refinance, restructure, or walk away to another bank. Options create better treatment. No options create expensive debt. This is why the rich often appear calm around money. It is not because they never borrow. It is because their debt usually has doors. Poor debt often has walls. If a wealthy person has a problem, they can restructure, refinance, sell an asset, move money, call a banker, negotiate terms. If a broke person has a problem, they often get a fee, a warning, a penalty, or a denial. That difference is not just financial. It is psychological. Poor debt makes the future feel smaller. Rich debt is supposed to make the future bigger. Poor debt says, you already spent tomorrow. Rich debt says, you are using tomorrow to build something today. But again, only if the structure is right. So should poor people never borrow? That is not the lesson. The lesson is that not all debt is equal. Debt used for survival should be treated carefully. Debt used for lifestyle should be questioned. Debt used to buy things that lose value should be measured. Debt used to buy time can be helpful, but only if it does not become permanent. Debt used to buy assets can be powerful, but only if the numbers actually work. The rich do not love debt because debt is beautiful. They love debt because in the right conditions, debt lets them control more without giving up what they already own. The poor fear debt because in their experience, debt often arrives when they are already weak. It comes during stress. It comes during emergencies. It comes with high interest. It comes with shame. It comes with phone calls, late notices, and the feeling that even your future paycheck no longer belongs to you. So when someone says debt is good, they are leaving out the most important question. Good for what? Debt for a vacation is not the same as debt for a rental property. Debt for groceries is not the same as debt for inventory. Debt for a luxury car you cannot afford is not the same as debt for a business vehicle that earns revenue. Debt that buys an image is not the same as debt that buys an asset. And debt that keeps you alive for one more month is not the same as debt that gives you leverage for 10 years. The real secret is not that rich people love debt. The real secret is that rich people often understand what the debt is supposed to do before they take it. Poor people are often forced to ask debt to rescue them. Rich people ask debt to work for them. One is emergency, the other is strategy. One is pressure, the other is leverage. One makes the bank powerful, the other can make the borrower powerful. And that is why debt is one of the most misunderstood forces in money. It is not automatically good. It is not automatically evil. It is a mirror. It reflects the position of the person using it. In weak hands, debt can become a cage. In prepared hands, debt can become a ladder. The same $100,000 can destroy one life and expand another. Not because the number changed, but because the purpose changed, the structure changed. The borrower's options changed. The asset behind it changed. And when those things change, the entire meaning of debt changes with them. Somewhere right now, a person is staring at a credit card statement at midnight, wondering how small purchases became a balance they can barely face. Somewhere else, a wealthy borrower is signing loan documents in a quiet office, using debt to buy an asset that may pay them for years. Same system, same word, different outcome. That is why the poor fear debt, and the rich use it carefully. This is Uncanny Ledger, where money reveals the truth. Subscribe to unlock the ledger.